Chapter 9 of Man's Knowledge of Reality deals with the psychological anthropological principles of human knowing. Here we will discuss the first 4 sections, pages 90 to 95. Wilhelmsen here looks at the causal processes involved in the production of human knowledge. What processes happen in our minds when we move from ignorance to knowledge about something? The only realist answer to this question, he says, involves the doctrine that the things known are the cause of my knowing them. We begin by referring back to occasionalism, the late medieval, early modern view that God causes human knowledge because things lack the power to make themselves known without God's action. Wilhelmsen coins the term irrelevant realism here, which I think works well. Under occasionalism, we know real things, but their real existence is irrelevant to our knowledge of them, since we would and could know them just the same if they did not exist. The difficulty with occasionalism, as we have said before, is that it gives a cause of knowledge that is much stronger than it needs to be, perhaps in response to the hollowing out of early modern conceptions of being. To avoid occasionalist errors, we need to keep in mind the distinction between intramental, or just mental, existence and intentional existence. When we reject copy theory, we can still leave ourselves open to the mistake of conflating intramental and intentional. The mistaken line of reasoning goes this way. Existence in the mind is distinct from existence in reality. They are 2 different things. On what basis, then, do you conclude the latter from the former? In response, Wilhelmsen reminds us that we must not think of knowledge as a purely inside-the-mind event. It involves more than intramental existence, because knowledge intends a reality that is not itself. It bridges the gap between subject and object. This is because knowledge as such is relational. It connects the knower and the known through the known thing's act of existing. Thus, to know a being is to know it as existing. The passage on page 92 to 93 is important, so please read it carefully. The upshot is this. Consider a known being, call it B. B has both a subjective act of existing, as it is in itself as a subject. B also has an objective, for others, act of existing, as it is presented to and known by knowing minds outside itself. B's act of existing for others as an object issues from and terminates in B's subjective act of being a subject. Thus, knowledge of being is caused by the being known. The knowledge that Michael has of B is caused by the being of B, present intentionally in Michael's mind. The next 2 sections will focus on the principles of knowledge causation. A thing acts as it is, and in being known, it is present to the thing it acts on. A fundamental principle of action is that action is proportional to being. No being means no action, and infinite being means infinite action. In between, finite beings act finitely through the combination of existence and form. The latter limits and gives definite boundaries to the former. A being presents itself through its actions to other beings. This is a second presence, going beyond its own presence to itself. Acting things relate themselves to other things by acting on them. The acting being is present to another being, both formally, as what it is, and existentially, by its act of existing. The action that connects beings to other beings is transitive, not immanent. Immanent action terminates within and is perfected within the acting being. Wilhelmsen's example is unexpressed love. Transitive action reaches into a being outside the agent and fulfills some capacity in it. This is the re-presence of the acting being, existentially and formally present to another being. Wilhelmsen ends section 4 by promising us a review of the steps involved in cognition in section 5. We will look at that next. Thanks for watching today. Goodbye.